Hi there, Stamatina. How are you doing?
Hi, good. How are you?
I would like to thank you for taking your time out for making this presentation. Um, we will, of course, have it live at the moment, but we will also be recording this presentation for all the students who cannot join us at
Okay.
this moment. And we will publish it on YouTube.
All right.
So with that, let's begin, Stamatina. We're all eager to hear you.
All right, that's great. So let me share my presentation then. Okay. Okay. All right then. So my name is Stamatina Kiriazou, and I recently graduated from London School of Design and Marketing, and this was my thesis research that I did. It's a visual storytelling that I did for Case Malta. Um, so, okay, a little bit about me. I studied in Greece in the School of Humanities and Social Science and transitioned to UX UI design. And lately, as I said, I got my master's degree from LSDM. My first job in design that I landed was in Academy 147, where basically I did animation for technicians for training material. It's a company that focuses in aviation maintenance. So they basically wanted me to do animated graphics. Um, Last year, I participated, so I want to say a little bit about me. Last year, I participated in Mobility Innovation Design Sprint in Malta, where it was 24 hours hackathon. And I actually found a solution for a mobility problem in Malta and won the second prize for that hackathon. And recently, a few weeks ago, I took part in the Creative and Social Entrepreneur Program in Malta, where basically I showcases this thesis research and how this research can contribute to social change in Maltese landscape. The agenda for today is why visual storytelling matters, the narrative theory behind it and the perception of beauty, participatory design method that I use alongside the Double Diamond designed model, and the case study of Malta, and how this apply in design, and a few example from real world campaigns that they have used visual storytelling. And last, the ethics in visual storytelling. So there is an image from Maltese city. It's called Birgu. It's taken a few years ago when I first came in Malta. And I basically, it was the moment that I thought this moment I have to frame it in an image. And this is because this moment basically triggered an emotion to me, and maybe this happens as well to other people. And I think that that visual can tell a story without using words. Just a single image that is static can actually contribute to emotional and memory connections with other people. So basically, depending of your culture, your background, your personal experience, and your interpretation of beauty in a photo, then your interpretation of beauty in a photo might vary. So that was the point where I started my research in Malta. To do my research, I needed to do a literature review and to have a theoretical background about the narrative theory, and to get to understand from the literature basically what it means, and what is the meaning of all these words that we're using: narrative in theory in design and visual storytelling. What is this basically? And there is a picture in the presentation, which is a girl reading a letter. And the idea of it is how many different stories you can say about this picture, seeing this picture, like who is sending her the letter, why she is reading the letter through next to the window. Is she sad? Is it not? What is the story that you can tell from a single image, basically? um, some examples, for example, from the literature on how culture and beauty perception, culture and beauty is used in design. One good example is Don Norman for emotional design, who has contributed a lot in UX UI design with his research, saying about how beauty is a mix of usability of emotions and aesthetics. And he actually said, like, attractive things might work better because emotion plays a huge role in design and perception. By saying that there is a technique in the visual storytelling and in design. So when we use when we want to use storytelling in our design, we need to first get to make clear what is the message that we want to communicate, what we want our viewers to feel or think. So every visual story begins with what is the intention behind it. Of course, the structure matters, and the use of contrast, journey, transformation, or a single moment. This will give our story a shape. Use of visuals with purpose. So we should choose images that, for example, will show people, places, or feelings, and that photo will speak better and before the text. And also to involve the viewer, so like ask a question or let the audience draw their own meanings from these stories. This is an image that one of the participants basically shared with me. Uh, it's an image showing a part of Valletta, and opposite there is Sliema. It's a new area that is built in Malta. And basically, when I first saw the image, I didn't understand what I was looking at, but the person that was sharing, he had in his mind, he actually reminds him something, and he felt a connection with that place. Um, next to here, you can see how I did my thematic analysis and how I coded the data that I had from my research. And basically, I categorize those in some. I categorize those in what I thought that will be more helpful for me, how to use the qualitative data. And for example, I had in the very end, it drove me in the very end to have, like, for example, what is the beauty in the photo. So some people say that it's personal what I think about beauty in a photo. They connected beauty in a photo with a special events or something that reminds them something or in a joyful moment. During my research, I had as well to connect the beauty with the culture. So here you see two categories of my photographic narratives. One is the fishmongers, and the other one is the everyday life in Maltese landscape. And I tried to choose images that are not stereotypical, or they are not cliche. So they really show them the Maltese life behind, and really show something about the culture and their beauty. Here is an image from a vendor that he sells bread in a village in Malta. And I use this in my research. So Stuart Hall, he said that cultural identity is not fixed, it's constantly shaped by representation. And according to him, visuals play a major role in how we see ourselves and others. And this is an example from their life in everyday in every day, but this doesn't show a stereotypical moment, more like it shows a real moment on how they live their lives. But for me, seeing from objectively, I see a really beautiful photo. Now, from a methodology perspective, my for my research, I used both quantitative and qualitative data. I believe that was more useful to do to expand in this in both areas, so that will help me to have more data to synthesize in the end and to get a better understanding of the perception of the beauty. Um, Along with my design, my methodology, I also used the participatory design method where basically a participant, they shared and contributed to the photographic narratives that I was gathering and later categorized. Now in the double diamond design method that I used, in the discover phase, I try to understand the problem and how beauty is perceived across culture in Malta. In the define phase, I synthesize user perspectives so that I can create and design my design to have my problem stated. And in the develop phase, it was a solution that was basically co-created because we make some sketches of the platform, how it would look, and then basically we tested as well together. And the delivery phase where we have a working prototype. So again, in the discovery phase was a long process. Maybe it was one of the biggest processes in my thesis design. I did a research for photos in the National Archive of Malta in order me to find photos that will be useful for what I want to showcase. Also, the participants contributed in that, and some photos that I had made myself. I made some interviews and surveys with people that I know that are basically my network or neighbors of mine. And then I collected all this in an empathy mapping in order to understand what are their emotions and what are their frustrations. So again, about my methodology research, a little bit more. And here is an example of a rhythm in a photo and how this basically the light and the posture might change the framing a little bit and how you feel about what do you see. In the define phase, you see the mapping of how they feel, how they what do they do, how they feel, what they say, what they think, and in the problem definition, I'm sorry. Doesn't show the part. Okay, no problem. So in the problem definition, I gathered everything in a affinity diagram, and here is where I actually created my problem and my solution to the problem. So home is the Maltese residents. They do what they want to understand, to better understand their social community by capturing and promoting diverse perception of beauty in Malta through photography in order to better engage and foster cross-cultural communication and understanding. And having said that, we after that, we jumped to a develop phase where we sketched and created a low fidelity prototype where we can see how is going to be the layout, where we're going to put the categories and how the platform will be. In the develop phase, you can see the sitemap of the platform. It's you can see the categories that I have created from the photographic narratives I've gathered. history, everyday life, tradition, carnival, fireworks. All these are some categories of photographic narratives that I've collected, and they all have to say a story about the Maltese landscape. And so this is how the platform and how a user can navigate through my platform. In the delivery phase, we had a high fidelity prototype in Figma. We could test it with the participants and also could go through the photos and the stories to see the stories of the platform that we have created. We have as well some suggestions made from the participant, like we could add more categories maybe, and have like translation, multilingual features in the platform, so that because Malta is bilingual, so we can have as well the Maltese language there in the platform. But the impact of the platform overall, when they get to see what we have created through what they shared, what we found, through all this discussion that we went through, was really made them feel like they have, it's a piece of them there, and really felt like it's important. This is a photo that is taken in a church in Malta, and how this is showcased in my platform with a few of text in the platform. As well, it's one of the categories page, one of the stories of fishmongers, because in Malta, fishmongers, they like to tell stories about fishmongers' tales, even songs. And it's a big category with a lot of photos and a lot of stories to be told. So the purpose of the storyteller is not to tell you how to think, but to give a question to think upon. And last, what we found is, when we asked people they found, how what makes a photo beautiful, is that 45% of them said that the photo is beautiful when it tells a story. And so people valued more a photo that tells a story and has a meaning, than a photo that is aesthetically pleasing and just beautiful. Because it's only because the light is nice at the moment. So storytelling transform a simple photo into a lived experience when it has to tell a story. And here we are in the high fidelity prototype. The photographic narratives have been categorized already. People can explore through the tabs, more categories, or they can see recent stories, or they can search for something else, for a keyword, with a keyword, something specific that they want. Yes, a clickable taxonomy that invites users to explore photographic story by themes as well. And a case study, just another example that I want to show, you probably already know. It's a case study from Always, it's called Like a Girl. Also, basically how they use Like a Girl wording, which had the meaning of an insult, maybe, to turn it into something that empowers women instead, and has a social impact. When we do a storytelling in design, or new storytelling in design, there are some ethical considerations to be taken, like to ask for informed consent to the participant, to how to represent the cultures accurately, and not showing just stereotypical images and touristical images, how to prioritize dignity and voice of subjects, and to acknowledge their contribution as well. So key takeaways from this research, and how the visual storytelling was used. is that uh, basically the narrative is equal to beauties, because 45% of the participants said that storytelling was the most important factor in making a beautiful photo, far from an aesthetic pleasing picture. Um, then culture that shapes perception, because different backgrounds led to different perception in the same image. So, for example, one person saw the image as an abandoned place, when another saw it as a nostalgic place that reminds him of his memories. Participatory design builds relevance, because people, by getting involved, they get to understand and they get attached with what you are building. And of course, visual storytelling is a power technique. We all know that telling stories is what we have been told since we are kids. We know that very well. We just sometimes forget about it, and we just need to go back and recall and get emotional again, and try to connect again with people. Uh, Images can challenge the cultural identity sometimes, but yes, as they evolve, they might the culture, as we evolve, the culture of each place might change. But it's always a nice. There are always nice stories to be told. And yeah, it's clear that design has social impact, and this wasn't just about the product. It was a process that empowered people and also made people come close to each other and talk, and something that can be used for further can be used further, basically. So for example, one of the from the jury that I participated, that I showcase my platform in the social entrepreneur program. They said that this platform can be used for schools and learn basically from their culture, and used for campaigns and programs in youths. Um, so storytelling gives people allows storytelling is a technique that allows people to be seen and to be represented in an actual way, and not only how media want to represent them, but show the real people and the real stories. Um, yeah, if you want, I had in my mind, if you want to share later my presentation with you, this is a link where you can find the full thesis and the prototype for the Figma, where you can see further the prototype. This is my account on LinkedIn, and I already have Your Story Mind account on Instagram, where I share some from time to time some photos of mine. And in Unsplash, you can find me. I upload photos for free for creatives that they can use in their design. Um, so that's it. That's it from my side.
Great. Stamatina, I must say, first of all, congratulations on getting the second award. But I think it's a wonderful project, and what I really like about your work is that it starts from a very conceptual basis. You know, it explores themes, it explores theoretical questions like beauty, but ends up in a very tangible solution that ultimately is aimed at territorial value or strengthening or advancing territorial value. So it begins as a theory or a hypothesis, but it's really good that it doesn't end as one. You know, it ends in something that is tangible, that is usable, applicable in the real world, and I think that is great. Another aspect, which of course I have been quite a fan of, has been this emphasis on beauty. I think it's something, as you mentioned, in other words, and as other writers also mentioned, it's indicative, but at the same time, it's open-ended, and it tells a lot about the context in which it's presented, as well as the person or the people who are receiving it. So it's in some ways a dialogue that is very much represented as well in your solution. I just have one question before I get on to the audience. How has your um, graduation project influenced or informed your own practice in design?
First, by using the methodology, I understand that I can apply it and have like following each step of the methodology. Even for example, for the mobility project that I did, I was alone among teams that they were 5 and 6 people, and it was a 24 hours hackathon, and I had just to follow the process, and everything followed. Like, I had my problem defined, and in the end I found the solution, and just have I wrote it everywhere. What is my problem? I focus a lot on the problem, to tell you the truth, because we had 3 hours mentorship with different professors from University of Malta. I focus a lot on the problem, and then I focus on how I can solve this problem. And I created a mobile app that can be used along with some mobility. I made the roadmaps of Malta and how they can be used. I just want to say here that following the process will lead you to the right solution. That's what I understand, and I'm applying this always to whatever I do. I try to follow a process each time, and then I get to the solution.
And this process is something developed by you, or is it something which you have come across?
Um, Basically, is design thinking methodology that I always have in my mind, and with that, I sometimes I adapt it depending of what I want to make, and I adapt it a little bit. Yes.
Okay. In terms of your solution, of course, we saw the three different questions. Um, I would like to add to that question saying by whom, so you are developing the project, but say, for example, if it were to be implemented in real life, who would implement? Would it be a private company? Would it be the government? Would it be, for example, the municipality?
There was an interest from National Archive of Malta. When I presented the project, they said that actually it's a great idea because they have so many photos that they don't know what to do with them. And they didn't know how to show to people as well. So they have so many photos around. They didn't think of categorizing those. And of course, they didn't think of putting on a platform that can be accessible. So it will be, if this we proceed with that and we do the platform, it will be governmental basically, and will be paid from, yes, from government. I hope this goes well, and we do it. But yeah, there was an interest about it, and from that also I won a mentorship. So if everything goes well with my mentor, we can proceed and implement that.
That's amazing. We have a question from Sarah. Did you find any differences in image interpretation, not only based on cultural differences, but also in age difference? So, did you have between the generations per se
Yes.
a different expectation from the image?
Yes, there was a small ethnographic research made as well. I tried to to combine different people, like not only people in because I said my network, but my network is not only one age group people. There were some neighbors here that I use their perception sometimes, and also people that I talk with when sometimes I go to Valletta in a small shop for coffee. Sometimes we like to share their photos and talk about it. And there are different people that I actually asked. Not all were made like interviews, like I'm asking questions, you answering. Most of the research was made like casually, because people, when you ask them like, let's do an interview, they are like more biased to say the right answer. So mostly it was a conversation, and yes, casually.
Yeah, it was ethnographic, as you mentioned, and I think that's the best way when it's a discussion. I mean, and where it's not something, and that works in many cases. That works to derive extremely useful, insightful, qualitative information, which we can then utilize in our solution making process. And I think it's a very legitimate, let's say, approach to people. And I think there's also a human connection there, which is very important, and especially given the scope, the human scope of your project. But yeah, I think I second Sarah in saying that it's very important to get a variety of responses in order for you to have a comprehensive view of the social reception, let's say, of your work. Sarah has put forward another question, which is, what criteria did you choose to select the photos for your prototype? Did you have any set criteria, or was it something which you instinctively went with?
I chose the photos that showed people, like um, maybe people in more like casual, where they did something, or they didn't know that they were taken in the photo, or maybe I chose old photos that represent like the old culture, and then I put it above another one, which is a new photo. It's not black and white. And and also the taxonomy of the photography helped, like, because first I categorize those in, for example, in the fishmongers photography, and then I chose from those the ones that I use from for the platform.
Yeah, but the question is why? You know,
I tried to use those photos that are shows people,
mhm.
shows a landscape with for example, that has something to say, like not a simple one. For example, I use photos for fireworks. Malta, it's a big thing, and for many months they go on like that. So I try to use photos that shows the fireworks and the lights, and how they are in the streets and they celebrating. And photos that they have to say something, that creates something to you. When you see it, you get something from the photo, you can
And I
attach.
think I think it's a very good reflection also of your exploration of the territorial value of Malta just from analyzing the photos. Of course, you are from the region. You have an idea that is more tacit of what Malta stands for, and in that sense, you are uniquely placed also to derive that kind of information. But do you think if you were to go to another country or another geographic context, you would be able to apply the same kind of methodologies, approaches? Um, Say, for example, if you were to make this particular product in another country, would you be able to apply the same approaches?
I think I think I would apply the same, but maybe more like if it's a bigger country, because Malta is small and it's easier to do it. It's a bigger country. I will do a much bigger research, so a wider research on the perception of the people. Because here, from city to city, basically there is no big. It's Malta is very small, so perception doesn't change so much. So yeah, I think I will focus more on a bigger and longer research.
Okay. And I think, that also sort of highlights one aspect of doing a design research project, and especially at the graduation level, is to find contexts that are closer to home in order to make a difference, because that's where students have the maximum access to useful information. That's where the students may have personal experience with the context. They might understand the nitty-gritties, the specificities of the context that they are entering with their proposal. So I think that's also something which is quite fantastic, and it's very well represented through your project. One more thing which I would like to mention is that um, there are not many design research projects that explore uh, the connection between art and design. And I think there's a huge influence of art in your work. Uh, as designers, we understand the tacit relationship with art, but seldom do we formally represent it or formally deconstruct it. And I think from your presentation, it became quite clear that you followed a structured pathway in order for you, for first and foremost, to understand um, how you can place the concept of beauty and therefore art, and then how you can deconstruct it into digestible chunks, which can then be utilized to create your solution based on territorial value. So, very well done in that regard. We have another question from Sarah. Have you thought how AI could be used in the app? Um,
Okay. A big thing, yes, AI everywhere now. It's AI. When I start doing this, no, I didn't think about AI back then. It was a year ago, but now I thought about it, and when I was presenting the features of the platform, that was as well one question. So I thought as well to add the feature there, but not 100% sure, because I wouldn't like, for example, to be a feature that will change the photo. So maybe I will have to think about it, because it was very difficult for me to find in which way I will use the AI for this platform, because it's more like creates. I wanted to focus more in the psychology and
yeah,
emotionally things, not so much to the AI, because AI you can use it for everything. What's the point if you take the photo that shows cultural has a cultural value and transform it to something that is new, basically.
yeah, that's basically data. Um, but I think AI will have a role to play if you are to extend the scope. Say, for example, as you were saying, I mean, if you were to work with the government and they have hundreds of thousands of pictures, I think that is where AI can, if it is digitized, especially, it can come into the frame, in the sense that it can help recognize patterns, especially when it comes to territorial value, especially when it comes to characteristic features of visuality of the culture of Malta. And maybe that can help you choose or select or identify the right kind of imagery, for example. So I think it can play, and especially when we are dealing with a lot of data set. So does anybody else have any question? Um, you can put it in the chat, or you can put it, or you can ask straight away.
Yeah, and everyone, if someone wants to contact me, I'm very active on LinkedIn mostly, but anywhere, and I try to post as many as possible photos in Unsplash. So I try to help as well designers to get some free material for their designs.
Okay. Um, do you also do photography as a professional?
No, I just do it as a hobby, and I'm not even. Sometimes I don't even edit those. I try to make just a nice photo, clean and nice, and I try to be more like documentary photos, not so much. Yeah.
Well, I think the photos are really nice. Um, we have another question from Sarah. What is the most important takeaway from your course, uh, an applied project for you as a professional? So what's something that has that you genuinely use as a professional in your work from the course, as a takeaway?
I don't come from a design background, and when I started the course, only had some small experience in UX, UI design, research design, and stuff like that. And when I entered in the course, basically my mindsets changed on how everything can be designed, because I had in my mind mostly visual designing, and then my mindset changed completely. So then I saw everything, how can be designed, and everywhere I was seeing something, or I was walking, I was thinking for a solution. It was very weird, but it really changed really changed me how I think. So basically, yeah, I think that's what the good course does, basically change you on how you think. I think that's the most important, then that you can apply to everything that you want to do.
That's great. Um, any tips from you as a researcher, in terms of approach, in terms of methodology, of the undertaking a project like this? For example, if you have a starting motivation or a spark, how do you convert it into a research project?
For I don't know, when I do my maybe. So when I start a project, I feel overwhelmed. I say always, I have to do this and this, and I think so many things. And a tip that I use always is, and I even have a paper I write down, and I say, do something every day. And I try to do something every day, so then I don't get too much stress. And I actually, by doing something small every day, basically end up in at the end of the month or end of the year having done something bigger. And yeah, working a little bit of every day, maybe that's a big tip on anything that you do. Yeah.
That's amazing. If anybody has any further questions, please put forward now. Um, Otherwise, I think we will just thank Stamatia for such a wonderful session. And we've, I mean, it's really inspiring to see how your work, and actually your conviction towards your abilities have transformed into what turns out to be potentially highly successful project. And I really hope that you get the support that you require in order for you to realize this on a professional scale, as well as on a cultural scale. I think it's a cultural tool that, or an asset that you're creating, and all the best for this. So from the side of LSDM, we
Appreciate it.
congratulate you, and If you require any support from our side, please let us know. And thank you again for this wonderful presentation.
Thank you very much. I appreciate everything. Thank you so much.
Great, thank you. So for everyone, if you want, you can contact Stamatina on LinkedIn, preferably, and maybe Stamatina, if you can send us the links, we can share
Of
it
course.
as well.
I will share my presentation with you after we finish the call. Yes, of course.
All right. So you can share the presentation, you can share the links, and maybe it's something which we can include in the recording.
Of course.
Okay. All
Of
right.
course.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Have
you
a
so
wonderful
much.
weekend.
You
Thank you,
too.
everyone who's joining in.
Thank you. See you in the ceremony.
Yeah.
Thank you. Bye.
See you. Bye.